Audiobook Academy Biography presents Dr. Dre. When hip-hop group NWA originally came to prominence in the 1980s, rapper-producer Dr. Dre was one of its members. Dr. Dre began his career as a DJ in his teens after becoming a lifelong music listener. NWA was his first big hit, and he later co-founded Death Row Records in 1991, which he helped build. First solo album The Chronic was a great success in 1992. In 1996, Dre launched his own record company, Aftermath Entertainment, which he quickly signed rappers Eminem and 50 Cent to. With Jimmy Iovine, he started the company Beats Electronics, which was sold to Apple in 2014. Childhood and education. Dr. Dre was born and raised in a musical family. His parents were also professional singers. Dre's mother Verna left the Four Aces not long before he was born because she was no longer happy with the way things were going. His father, Theodore, was a member of a band called the Romels, which inspired his son's middle name. After his parents divorced, Dre moved in with his mother, who had a long history of divorce and remarriage. They were often on the move, and the Wilmington Arms housing complex in Compton was one of their most recent stops. Dre exhibited an aptitude for drafting while attending Centennial High School, but he neglected his other academic pursuits. He went to Fremont High School, then Chester Adult School, before transferring to Chester High School. It wasn't academics that piqued his interest, however, he wanted to compose music instead. His family's home became his studio after Dre received a music mixer for Christmas in 1984. As he worked for hours on end, he would combine various noises to create his own unique sound. As a teenager, Dre began frequenting the LA nightclub Eve After Dark, where he finally landed a job DJing. As part of the world-class Wreckin' Crew, he developed the rap character known as Dr. Dre, the master of mixology, while performing in nightclubs. Basketball great Julius Dr. J. Irving had a major influence on his decision to change his name to Dr. J. Irving. Career in rap. Dr. Dre formed NWA, Niggas with Attitude, with other rappers Eazy-E, Ice Cube, Yella, MC Ren, The Arabian Prince, and the DOC in 1985. When he formed a band with his new bandmates, his music became more ferocious. It's no wonder that NWA's music was so brutal and vulgar. It was a reflection of life on the streets. Straight Outta Compton, 1988, the group's second album, sold more than 2 million copies and introduced gangsta rap to the world. One song, Fuck the Police, sparked a raging debate. Many people believed that the song, which dealt with tensions between African American youth and law enforcement, was inciting violence. Ruthless Records and its parent firm received a letter of caution from the FBI because of the song. In 1992, Dr. Dre became the first hip-hop artist to break out on his own and on a new record company, Death Row Records, with The Chronic. Snoop Dogg appeared on the album's biggest single, Nothin' But a G-Thing, which was a little-known track at the time. G-Funk, a fusion of funk and gangsta rap, was introduced by Dr. Dre in this latest release. Dre was a longtime fan of bands like Parliament and Funkadelic, among others. 2001, Dre's second solo album, was released in 1999. An enormously successful hip-hop/pop crossover, the album sold millions of copies worldwide. Fans were tipped off to the release of a third album by Dr. Dre, titled Detox, during the following years. Despite the fact that Detox's recordings were leaked, the album was never released. Music industry business. Dr. Dre has had a key role in the rise of various hip-hop and rap musicians behind the scenes. Many of the musicians on Ruthless Records, which he founded alongside Eazy-E, had Dre as a track producer on their albums. Dre also collaborated with Michel'le on her debut album. Dre was a key member of NWA's creative team, contributing to the creation of a significant amount of their discography. In 1991, Dre and Marion Suge Knight co-founded Death Row Records, a rap music empire. Snoop Dogg's 1993 debut album, Doggy Style, and Tupac Shakur's All Eyes on Me were both recorded there. Dr. Dre quit Death Row Records in the same year as the West Coast/East Coast rap conflict became increasingly contentious. Biggie Smalls and Tupac Shakur both died as a result of the conflict. Aftermath Entertainment was founded by Dre in conjunction with Interscope Records. His two biggest triumphs with Aftermath were Eminem and 50 Cent, both of whom he signed. After initially facing backlash for signing white artist Eminem, Dr. Dre quickly proved his critics incorrect. Eminem's Slim Shady and Marshall Mathers albums, both released in 1999, were fully produced by him. 2000. As part of his relationship with 50 Cent, Dre contributed to his debut album, Get Rich or Die Tryin', 2003. Violence against women. As Dre's career has progressed, He has not only rapped about violence and recklessness. Some of his lyrics are based on his own experiences, as he's been in trouble with the authorities numerous times over the years. He allegedly assaulted TV anchor Denise Barnes in 1991, attempting to shove her down a flight of stairs after striking her. Her section about Ice Cube's departure from NWA set off the attack. A civil suit had been filed against Dre for his acts, but the two sides agreed to settle out of court. Dre was accused of assaulting producer Damon Thomas again the following year. He was arrested a few months later on charges of violence on a police officer. In 1994, Dre led police on a high-speed chase while intoxicated, and it seemed like he had taken his risky conduct to a new level. In light of his previous probation violation, Dre received a jail sentence of several months and a fine. When he finished his sentence, he was released in 1995. After Denise Barnes' legal complaint against Dre, additional women would speak up about Dre's aggressive behavior towards them in the 90s, which would continue to plague him. In an interview with the New York Times in August 2015, Dre discussed his prior activities. "My life had no real structure 25 years ago when I was an inebriated young guy living on the edge. But none of these justifies my actions," he insisted. "For the past 19 years, I've been striving to be a better husband and father to my wife and children. I'm always looking for ways to improve. It is my goal to never look like that man again. I apologize to the women I've wounded," he continued. "I'm sorry for what I did, and I realize it will affect all of us for the rest of our lives." Hip-Hop Tycoon. Dr. Dre and record producer Jimmy Iovine formed Beats Electronics in 2008 as an extension of their hip-hop brand. A series of well-received products supported by pop and hip-hop musicians followed, including Beats by Dr. Dre Studio headphones, which Dre introduced as the company's first entry into the audio market. Additionally, Beats music was released in January of this year. The Jimmy Iovine and Andre Young Academy for Arts, Technology, and the Business of Innovation was also supported by the two partners. Beats was purchased by Apple for $3 billion in May 2014. After closing the deal, Dre's fortune grew to $800 million, making him the richest rap celebrity in the world, according to Forbes magazine. Dr. Dre and Dr. Iovine became Apple executives as part of the acquisition, the largest in Apple's history. Vital Signs, a scripted television series based on Dr. Dre's biography, was announced by Apple in 2016, with Dre as executive producer. Dr. Dre's long-awaited third album, Compton, a soundtrack, was released on iTunes and Apple Music in August 2015. Straight Outta Compton, a biopic about the rise of NWA, was released at the same time as Dre's record, Straight Outta Compton. Beats headphones. In 2014, a former hedge fund manager called Stephen Lamar filed a lawsuit against Dre and Iovine, alleging that he had been shortchanged on royalties as the man who proposed and developed the idea of Beats Electronics' celebrity-endorsed headphones. To counter this, the defense said that Lamar was only entitled to royalties from the initial headphone model. Los Angeles Superior Court jury in June 2018 determined that Beats owes Lamar an additional $25.2 million in royalties, after a judge rejected Lamar's allegations in June 2015. Private life. In high school, Dre became a father for the first time. It was not until Curtis was 20 years old that he finally met his father for the first time. La Tanya was the result of yet another high school romance. His connection with vocalist Michelle, who worked with him in the world-class Wreckin' Crew, led to the birth of their son, Marcel, who was later adopted by his mother. Andre R. Young Jr. was born in the late 1980s to Janita Porter and Young. In 2008, Andre Jr. died from a heroin overdose. Nicole Threed was Dre's wife when they wed in 1996. Both their children are named Truth and Truly, and they were born as a result of their union. Efforts to divorce Threed will begin in June of next year. There are other performers in his family besides Dre. Warren G., his older stepbrother, was a big star in the 90s. A rapper by the moniker of Hood Surgeon is his son, Curtis. Health. Dre was admitted to the hospital on January 4, 2021 for what seemed to be a brain aneurysm. "Thanks to my family, friends and fans for their interest and well wishes," Dre said in a statement. "My health is terrific, and my medical staff provides me with wonderful service. My stay in the hospital is almost over, and I can finally go home. Cedars-Sinai Medical Center has some of the best doctors and nurses in the business. One love," exclaimed the audience. Thank you for listening in Audiobook Academy. Don't forget to subscribe and smash that like button for more content like this. See you in next video.